Yes.
I very much appreciated the talks. I thought it was really good. The ways of organizing and multiple solutions, that's also something that we try to follow. I'm working on a plan called Delhi 2050. It's a very long-term, it's more of a process than a project. We work together with the Center of Science and Environment, and maybe you have visited them here in Delhi, but one of the things we learned from them is that it's very important to celebrate good examples, because the given situation is, I've been in Nepal 3 times, is pretty bad. So I think to have somehow good examples of how this can be solved in different directions, I think that is very important lesson of this evening, and to celebrate these examples, because ultimately I don't know the average age of the people in Nepal, but I presume it will be somewhere around 25 years. 17. Well, there you go. So that also means that, let's say, solutions and finding, celebrating positive examples is very important for younger people. So the awareness is one thing and the education is another thing. But when it becomes a hit, or when it becomes something popular, or when it becomes actually something you want to be a part of it, maybe that's where you enter in that area that you mentioned is outside the government, is outside the market parties. Because how can you define what young people, what the new generation, what they embrace? That is very different. They have a different way of thinking, different way of approaching things. Anyway, I was wondering if you maybe with the cities, of course, if you have a website, or if you also...
I can send you the paper if you send me an email.
I will do that, yeah.
On Wednesday. Don't do it before, because Tuesday when I get home, there'll be about 3,000 emails.
Yeah.
And if yours is buried down there, I may never get to it.
Okay. Now with Delhi 2050, we found out that I'm not so good in it, but with the tweets and the blogs and the Facebooks, and this is as important as a means of, let's say, awareness, as the, let's say, the printed copies and the evenings like tonight. Thank you.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to appreciate for the good presentations, and when Dipak ji and Ajay ji shared the situation of Bagmati River, and I was completely thinking about the river Yamuna, as I am working as a Yamuna waterkeeper with Waterkeeper Alliance US. So I was completely making a comparison, and I came to the conclusion that more or less they have the same situations as we are facing regarding the Yamuna River. So as the guy he has mentioned that we should celebrate the good examples. So here I would like to make an example and to share an example of Paudhoi River. So in Saharanpur in western Uttar Pradesh. So there people have revived this river. I am in my childhood, I also passed my days in western UP, in Saharanpur area. And you know, when I came to know about this river now, that there is a river named Paudhoi River, and that is the stream of the Ganga River. When I came to know the last year, and I was completely surprised, because I passed 30 years in Saharanpur since my childhood. And I was completely unaware that if there is a river in Saharanpur, because I always saw there was a dirty drain there. only a small dirty black drain, and there were some you can say the wooden shops on that drain. But now when the people they are, with their efforts, they have revived, and they told us that this is the Ganges stream and this is the Paundhoi river. I was completely shocked that so this was the efforts, not only the governmental authorities, administrative department, and this happened with the community participation, administrative participation, and as well as the corporates participation. Both of these, as Deepak ji also mentioned, we should apply the multiple solutions. So multiple people came along, and they did something to clean up their river, to revive their river, and a drain turned into a river. So there was the same problem they were facing, the sewage problem, what today we are facing regarding the Yamuna river. What they did, the first attempt, apart from the awareness and knowledge activity, they did it compulsory for every household, that every household will build a soak pit before their house for their flush toilet, and they will stop their releasing the human feces into the river. And this was the first effort on the ground, apart from the knowledge activity or the awareness activity that was done. And every household, I don't know, you will be agree with me or not, that every household, they dug the pits in front of their houses and stopped releasing their human feces, their flush water into the river. And this was their effort, that we had a river stream, and even the water of that stream is up to the drinking level. That is IIT report, that they can drink this water on the source. So I think if we have the solutions, what Deepak ji also told, honeysuckers idea, that you call the numbers and people are coming to clean up their your pits. Then Vishwanath ji has told last time the honeysuckers in Karnataka. So if we look towards these type of solutions, I think we can solve. To an extent, we will be able to solve the problem in metro cities also. Thank you.
Actually, I had been in Nepal, Kathmandu many times, and along the Bagmati River. And if you see the Bagmati River, the silt load is very high, as well as the pollution load is very high. Both are together. So instead of, and wideness is very least wide. So even the river can be bifurcated into two parts. One, the stream upper side, another side of Pashupati River temple, which flow the better water, and another which carry the pollutants which are coming from the city. That's the second thing is, during my visit I used to go to the different small places, and everybody looking to ask the Kathmandu, why not having the decentralized cities which have better facilities? People should not think to go Kathmandu instead of living there the good cities. Like even Janakpur is a very good area where lots of tourists comes. There's the opportunities, economic opportunities are there. If that cities develop well with the planned way, the people will come there from the Kathmandu to have economic activities. So there, every piece of the land of the Kathmandu, Nepal is having the beauty. So, and the tourist spots are there. If developed, decentralized planning is taking place, then automatically the problem of water need least management care, because the population will decentralized. This is my only comment.
I think that's a good point, but for whatever it is, Kathmandu, and like many other cities in South Asia, is in a kind of a vicious circle. You have more jobs, more opportunities in cities, so therefore more people come. And then you have less jobs, less opportunities in mofsals. So therefore it kind of triggers that shift. I agree with you, but how would that happen? How would that shift to more decentralized satellite cities occur is something we need to reflect and think about. Bagmati is canalized now. It's not channelized, it's canalized. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it used to be broad. There used to be lots of sand in Bagmati, and the river used to kind of flow braided in that sand. All that sand has been extracted for building, concrete jungles of Kathmandu city. So therefore, it's now canalized, and what flows in that canalized section, is sewer, at least in the non-monsoon months. And it does have sediment load, silt load in the 4 to 5 monsoon months. A lot of it is, sewage load. I just wanted to comment on your point about, young generation. Not many young generations are kind of excited by the kind of, or attracted by the kind of challenges water faces. I mean, it's very smart, very articulate, very savvy with, some of the existing gadgets, Facebook, blogs, Twitters, and rest of it. But I think the challenge for us is to, how do you capture the imagination? How do you make that connection? How do you make that connection with this generation so that they begin to sort of think about some of these issues more seriously? And that's the challenge I think, our generation has to sort of, deal with it seriously.
Beginning, we had a very small audience, and I thought what kind of a discussion was going to take place. But in fact, we have had a fairly rich discussion. Now, some of the questions went beyond the topic of the series. If we are thinking of water in general, various questions arise. Right to water, water sharing, water-related conflicts, question of whose water, what is the property in the water, and what is the future projection? How much water do we need by 2050, and how are we going to provide it? Do we have big projects or small projects or total mobilization? Now, all those questions are very important, but the focus of this particular series has been on rivers, the state of rivers. And so essentially, why do rivers die? How can we stop more rivers from dying? And how can we revive those which are dying or dead? That has been the focus of this particular series. Now, essentially, essentially there are two things here. One is that rivers have tremendous self-cleaning properties, but for that they must have some water. If you keep taking water away from rivers, you reduce the capacity of the river to deal with the pollution. The other is we must minimize the pollution load that goes into the river. Now, all process of urbanization is accompanied by the enormous generation of waste. All our metropolitan cities have mountains of waste, and very little of it is actually treated. Much untreated sewage goes into the pollution is partly domestic sewage, partly chemical pollutants, industrial effluents, agricultural residues, and so on. So all these have to be tackled. So there has to be a multiple kind of approach. As far as industry is concerned, you have at some stage to impose fairly severe requirements of recycling and reuse, so that in the long run, we must make them proceed towards the goal of zero effluent and zero net water budget. Some industries are trying to do it in their own economic interest, but that is something which must be brought about. One way of reducing the load of industrial pollution that goes into the river can be pretty well controlled. Agriculture is much more difficult. Agricultural residues has to change the character of the agriculture. The tremendous use of fertilizers and pesticides, they all find their way into the river at sooner or later. So that is something which needs to be tackled. The answers are very difficult. Not everyone can shift to organic farming. Immediately the question will arise, if you go away from this green revolution kind of technology, how are you going to feed your future population? This is the question, water security, food security. But we have to find answers to minimize pollution load that comes from agriculture. Look at it renders part of the water. We calculate so much water is available, so much water is needed and so on. But the part of the water that is available becomes unavailable because of this. But if you take the Yamuna, when we say Yamuna is a sewer, we are not mainly talking about industrial effluents, agricultural chemicals. We are talking about sewage, domestic sewage. So here, we have to somehow find some effective alternative to the present system of water flush toilets. How exactly it is? There are experiments, there are some alternative toilets in Sweden, people have gone and seen them. There are no easy answers, but we have to, first you can try and reduce the amount of water that is in fact used, even in this system. More economical toilets. Then we can try and find alternatives. Some of the things that Dipak mentioned, how to propagate this. And then, whatever you do, ultimately there will be some wastage, some sewage. What do you do with it? Do you set up STPs and then discharge the thing? And that has not been very satisfactory. So, there are two different kinds of answers to this which have been suggested. One is extensive decentralized sewage treatment instead of these huge centralized STPs. The other is to lay interceptor sewers so that your sewage doesn't go to the river. Instead they're diverted and taken somewhere else. But that is a centralizing solution, because at some stage you have to put up a large centralized STP and then use that. Don't put it into the river, but use that for agricultural purposes. But there are multiple answers. Not any of them can be said to be wholly satisfactory. But through a combination, we have to reduce the kind of pollutants and contaminants that go into the river. Because the whole idea of first making the river into a sewer and then undertaking massive projects and programs for cleaning the Yamuna, cleaning the Ganga, this is complete madness. Of course, where we have done it, we have got to do something about those rivers. But we have to see at least that more and more rivers do not get added to this category. And even the answers to Yamuna and Ganga may not necessarily lie in large centralized STPs. We must find local decentralized solutions. It's a very difficult problem. I'm not offering any magic solutions, but a whole range of solutions have to be tried. And we've had some good examples today. And these need to be documented. These need to be known. Not many people know these things and practiced. So I think it has been a very useful session. And in any case, we have come to our closing time. We have to stop at 8. So let me thank the panelists, taken advantage of your presence here and brought you here. And I thank the audience, which after all, one by one people trickled in. It's not a bad audience now. It started with 2 or 3. It's been a good program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.